What up, everybody? It is me, KiNGAlpha. Hope everybody's doing great. So, I know I was supposed to come out with the Pike Guide, and like I've been saying in my streams, sadly, with the Pike Guide, it is just way too long. I don't want you guys watching a 42 minute to an hour video. Um, so how I'm gonna do the Pike Guide is I'm gonna basically split it up from the actual build and the units that you should use with it, and then I'm actually gonna do gameplay guide, where I'm showing and talking about the gameplay in terms of like combos and things like that as well. If you guys are wondering, down in the description below, you guys obviously got my KiNGAlpha code, and you also do have my Twitch channel in case you guys do want to watch me, and my Discord as well in case you guys ever want to join the Discord and message me and things, especially a lot of people that have questions. So let's get into the Gray Hair Garrison guide. The Pike guide will come out tomorrow. The Gray Hair Garrison, honestly, fantastic. I'm going to talk about all of this stuff for them, and then we're going to go into obviously some gameplay a little bit later on, and we'll really debunk a lot of the stuff for them. So let's talk about these guys. So they actually get called the Mortal Garrison if you go bottom line, whereas if you go top line, they become the Lin Wu. So it's pretty interesting. They have 24 head count, and right now they're 225 leadership. However, next season they will be 240 leadership, which is actually still not that bad. Now I'm going to go over Doctrines first, and then we'll go over a lot of the other things. So in terms of Doctrines, I am going to be removing my camera as well and my borders so that you guys can see everything and I'm not in the way of things. So in terms of their actual Doctrines and things, they're basically like like mini Iron Reapers, if anything, because of the fact that you can't put actual sword doctrines on them, or pike doctrines, or shield doctrines, even though they have swords, pikes, and shields. So it does kind of suck that you can't put like iron sides and other things on them, which really does suck. But regardless, these guys still can duke it out, and it's really nice. So the first doctrine I'm going to talk about is the Gray Hair Doctrine 1. So the Gray Hair Doctrine 1 is the increased health by 600 points. If you guys don't know, there is a special quest that you can get, and it's in Longting, or Haojing, the main city in Longting. Basically go to the capital, make sure you do the special quest, and you can actually get this doctrine. And the crazy good thing about this doctrine is that it actually stacks with the health doctrine as well. I only have a blue one, so you know, basically this gives the Immortal Garrison, or the Gray Hair Garrison, 900 extra health, which is absolutely amazing. And that's 900 health overall, which is just beautiful. Then I added a Breakthrough Doctrine, and I also added an Assassination Doctrine, because these two are just really good. Really can melt heroes really fast, but also can melt units really fast when used right. And then last but not least, I have the Gray Hair Doctrine 2. So this is actually from the challenges from when you're actually unlocking the unit. And I added this because it does increase slashing, piercing, and blunt damage all around. And they basically do each of these, which is really nice. And it gives them overall like nice balance to the damage. I can put the Sprint Doctrine if I really wanted to, but it's really not needed. I mean, sprint is really cool, you know, you get that increase in movement speed, but they are a really fast unit regardless. Now let's go over there. And also, if you guys are wondering what attire I'm wearing, it's the Antique Snow attire. But next but not least, we're going to go over their actual line. We're going to go over the lines, then we'll go over the unit traits, their skills, and then we'll go and showcase their like actual stats and things. So I went bottom line, and I know a lot of people have said that they went top line and they've enjoyed top line, but personally for me, I've enjoyed bottom line a lot more than top line. Now the biggest thing about that is because of the fact of like top line is just straight damage, and yeah, you get like last stand cooldown, which is by 6 seconds, which is really big for them, because last stand is really good. However, just because it does more damage doesn't mean that it's better for the unit. Personally, these guys are a great shield unit, and they can actually hold down an area for a while if you actually keep the Immortal Garrison. Like if you're constantly controlling these guys and they're always basically in no retreat and things like that, they can become one of those almost immortal type units where they don't want to die because they have such great traits and such great unit commands and things. So the first thing is I went for the health, and then I went straight bottom. So you get slashing defense, slashing damage, slashing armor penetration, blunt defense, charge damage, like increased charge damage, health, movement speed, and the last stand damage reduction by 15%. So one thing to see is here that even if you go top or bottom, you actually still can get the movement speed increase, which is really nice. In terms of actually getting the top line, you do get a little bit more block break, which is cool. But however, I did notice as well, though, even though you get the block break here, on bottom line, you actually do get the extra charge damage by 15%. So your charge is actually stronger on bottom line compared to top line, even with the extra block break. The charge damage overall increase is really crazy, and sometimes you can just immediately one-shot a short sword, even if they're full armor and they're on iron sights and things like that. They're almost like a perfection pikeman charge, so it's really, really nice. One thing I want to explain here is the difference between the top and the bottom. So I think right now Last Stand is a bit bugged in terms of like what it's supposed to be stating, because in the PTR it stated something else. But basically the difference is between this is that during Last Stand, your damage is increased by 15%, but then also during Last Stand on bottom line, the damage you take while in Last Stand is reduced by 15%. So you do have two formations. You have the 3-rank formation and you have the wedge formation, which is pretty good. Both formations are really good. However, I really would tell you guys to really stick with the 3-rank formation. I think a lot of people want to do it where you know, you do wedge formation because the charge skill is even more powerful and things like that. However, when you're in the 3-rank formation, personally, the charge is still really good. It's nice and compact, and it still does a lot of damage. I think in maybe 1v1 situations you can switch to wedge, but personally I always like to stay in 3-rank formation because this unit gains the Last Stand skill while in this formation. However, when you're in wedge formation, you can't get that Last Stand skill, so it really does hurt you if you just stay in the wedge formation the whole entire time, because you're basically losing out on using one of the skills for the actual unit. So they are the grizzled veterans. So an experienced veteran can use each variety of the weapon, and each weapon inflicts different enemies, different effect on enemies. Every skill is used, the unit will be immune to crowd control debuffs for a short time. So Sword and Shield excels at defensive counterattacks, can block while attacking, and get around enemy blocks to daze enemy attacks or enemy units. Longsword uses powerful attacks while in formation and is capable of attacking multiple targets at once. And then Polearm waits for opportunities to attack the enemy's weak points, increasing the amount of damage they take. So this is really good all around, really nice mix of a unit. This unit actually before was actually supposed to be made with a sword and shield, longsword, and a crossbow, but they changed it from crossbow to polearm. So, or like the pike. So I think it would have been really interesting to see between the crossbow and the pike what would have been the big difference. But I think for sure it was definitely the right choice, just because of the fact that like this unit overall, unless the crossbows were shooting really fast, it would have been one of those things where they always just were getting demolished. So by the book, when the health falls below 40%, appears red. Damage is increased by 25%, and each attack restores 10% max health. This is one of the big unit traits that even though they're falling below health, it's almost like they're berserkers. So with berserkers, they have health regen. Same goes for these guys. They kind of have that health regen, however, they need to fall below 40%. So it is really good because eventually you'll see that you won't be losing a lot of your immortal garrisons over time because of the fact that they'll be gaining back health as they continuously attack, which is really nice. Duty is duty until death. So this unit is not affected by the head count restriction. So basically, let's say you lose every single one of them except one of them, you can actually still bring that one unit into the fight, which, you know, one unit doesn't make a difference, but still it's something where like if you have 10 of these guys or 8 of these guys, you can still bring them in and they can still be a little bit useful. And they are also part of the, you know, Kin Dynasty. So let's talk about their unit orders. So the no retreat, the unit immediately forms a 3-line formation and becomes immune to crowd control effects while this is in effect. So this is amazing because the thing is, they don't tell you how long the cooldown is. However, even though they're immune to crowd control effects, it's for about maybe 1 to 2 seconds or 1 to 3 seconds. And then you constantly need to make sure that you do it again. The cooldown is basically on 5 seconds. So you're constantly going to be having to spam the button for no retreat so that these guys do get that continuous immune to crowd control effects. Now, these guys are basically 1v1 masters. However, if you do play them wrong, you can lose them all immediately. Now, this is the thing that I was talking about last stand before. Basically, the first and the second bit is almost the same, so the unit adopts a defensive stance, becoming temporarily immune to crowd control effects. This can only be activated while in 3 ranks formation. Changing to a different formation will weaken the effect. So you can still do it, I think, in wedge formation, but it's just seriously not that strong, and it's very weak compared to when you're in the 3 rank formation. It is immensely, just like, it's super strong. One thing I would say though is that this is actually supposed to increase your damage as well that you do. I believe it was supposed to be increased 15% damage while you're in last stand. And last stand, I think it doesn't really tell you how long it lasts, but I think it lasts between 5 to 10 seconds. And then the cooldown when bottom line is about 30 seconds on these guys, which is not too long, but obviously you don't want to always be in huge crowded fights and you don't have last stand up, because then you will typically lose these guys if you don't have the last stand up, because you know last stand is an amazing skill, but it doesn't last for that long. Then last but not least, you have the charge. So this unit charges, the unit makes a charge as directed. This charge has strengthened effect, restores the unit's health, and is even better if triggered while in the wedge formation. And the unit then becomes temporarily immune to crowd control effects. So it's still really good because of the fact that you charge, you get health back, and you get that immune to crowd control effects again. So there's a lot of immune to crowd control effects with these guys, which is really great. The only thing, like I said, is that even though wedge formation is really good for the charge to maybe trigger that extra, that extra health and that extra damage, more or less, it really depends on the situation. If it's a 1v1 situation, definitely do the wedge formation and charge. However, you're really going to be needing to micromanage these guys to make sure you're not always keeping these guys in the wedge formation. All right. Last but not least, let's go over the health and stats and things. Let me make sure that I am not going over too much time. Yes. Okay, so we're going to go over the health here. So the health is 14,200, obviously because of the extra 800 health, or 900 health that I have from my doctrines, which is amazing. You have 24 of these guys. You have 225 leadership, 5.1 movement speed, which is really, really nice. In terms of all of their damage stats, it's really, really high. So you have 1,415 piercing, 1,1600 slashing, almost 1,000 blunt damage. Not the blunt damage isn't really that high, but the piercing and slashing are the best bits, because obviously for the most part they're not. It's not like the front shields are like shield bashing and things like that all the time. One big thing though I will say, guys, is that the defensive stats are not that good. So the piercing defense is really low. The slashing and blunt defense isn't really that low. Is really that low. So the biggest thing about these guys is basically ensuring that you keep your defenses from using their unit skills. So you want to basically constantly spam last stand and no retreat constantly, to make sure that they, even though they have the low defense, they will restore their health and everything like that as well. So definitely want to keep that into effect. Then I'm going to go over some gameplay, guys, and everything. So let's talk about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about what to really do with these guys to ensure that you're actually dominating with these guys. So I'll be right back. Deuces. Hey everybody, alright, so let's get into some gameplay with the Immortal Garrison. I chose some good points where I did show me dominating with the unit, but then also eventually the unit dying with me as well. So as we can see right here, their charge is almost like the basic like Imperial, the Prefecture Pikeman. Now, which is really good because that charge is straight on, really fast, and it does a lot of damage. Now, one thing I want to say as well with the Prefecture, with the Prefecture Pikes, the Immortal Garrison, is the fact that these guys do defend their backside as well when they are in the no retreat stance. Now, as we can see, I do constantly spam the no retreat every time it comes up. So you're constantly needing to basically ensure that you're using your unit to the point that they are always in no retreat. The no retreat is really good because of the fact that it just basically always puts them in crowd control immunity. And as we can see right here, I hit last stand and they're actually taking out Cav. Eventually the Cav do get through, and there's a bunch of heroes. Obviously heroes I think are almost the biggest counter to the unit, but you can see these guys are holding out their land. Now, I know the clips are going by a little bit fast and everything, so you can't really see everything super clear and stuff. But these guys are basically tanking loads of damage just to ensure that they get through. As we can see right here, I'm gonna charge, basically open up the Fortebraccio right here, and then use the Immortal Garrison, and even use their Last Stand to get that damage reduction, but also basically get that health push as well. So right here is a big thing here. If you guys did not know, they can actually tank an entire Imperial Pike advance. All you need to do is basically continuously spam their no retreat. As you can see, my guys are getting knocked down here, but I bring them back up and I keep doing no retreat no matter what. They are tanky enough when you go bottom line to constantly get back up and then charge. So we're going to charge right here. They're going to get health back. I'm going to brace them, but eventually they will get overwhelmed if there's a lot of heroes. I think one of the big counters to these guys is if, for example, you're low in health, and if they you know, if you're low in health and then basically they get attacked by way too many units. But as you can see right there, I basically lost almost no Immortal Garrison to Berserkers, even with the Berserkers going in, because of the fact that I use the charge, and then I use Last Stand and everything, and they can actually beat Berserkers one-on-one. A lot of the Immortal Garrison can beat a lot of other units one-on-one. The biggest thing is basically ensuring that your Immortal Garrison it is tanking damage, but they do still need support. They're a really great 1v1 unit, but for example right here, I'm really low health. I can't really stand in the front or else I'll die, so I'm trying to shield for the Fortebraccio here, but also I'm going to be losing a lot of my guys because of the fact that they're getting hit by a lot of things. So a lot of it is basically ensuring that your guys, they can get a nice clean charge off, they can get a nice little brace and damage kills and things like that. But if they do get overrun by a lot of heroes and constant knockdown on heroes and things, you will eventually lose these guys. That's the one sad bit about these guys, is that obviously you will lose them over time. But as you can see, these guys are tanking the damage. They're tanking the hits. So if you do get enough time to actually get their charges off and everything and their support, you can actually open up a lot for them, and they can actually get loads of kills, loads of hero kills and things like that. You're going to see in a moment that there's things that you can combo with the Immortal Garrison right here, like their charge, to basically ensure a hero kill immediately. One thing I will say though is just maybe be careful of when you're using your Last Stand for these guys. You really want to time the Last Stand right enough for when there's a big blob or anything. But I'm going to bring this guy down, charge, boom, immediately bring him down again, and my Prefecture, you know, the pikes and everything, just charge and kill him immediately. Here is a huge blob right here that I basically said, you know what, I'm going to hold my ground. They can tank an entire charge. I did Last Stand first, and then I'm going to do no retreat, and bam, they're holding their ground. You will lose a lot of these guys, but as you can see, the numbers are basically there. If you have support, it's actually going to work out in your favor for these guys. Now the big heroes that do combo with these guys is obviously short sword, pike, glaive, maul, any type of unit that can, or hero that can really open things up for them, or even longsword as well, with giving them damage reduction and you know, heals and all that type of stuff, is really good. So definitely try and make sure that you have the right combo for these guys to basically ensure that your Immortal Garrison become immortal and they don't die. Hopefully, if there's any other questions, you guys my bad. You guys leave them down in the comment section below. Let me know if you guys need any help or anything, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces. And I know that was a really fast recap of everything for them, but it was just needed. Deuces.